PULS8 Radio.
Well, Series 2, Episode 11, lads, and it's the middle of the summer. What a warm night it is too. Well, it's a bit thundery here. It's gone a bit rainy. What's happening with you? You're in Wales, Phil.
Yeah, amazing. And it has just got a bit dull.
Nos da, Phil.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's a clean show, Martin. Do you mind?
Just say good evening in Welsh.
Yeah.
And then we're happy because the Wales have won as well.
Yeah. I didn't
well
say
done,
Wales.
Wales.
Well done,
Yeah.
Wales, indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to what was Only Human Radio. No longer. We've had a change. We are now PULS8 Radio. So because Only Human is, well, it's more of a local group. It's this thing for the people within the group there. And we've kind of moved out a little bit, trying to bring in people from outside as well as including people from within the group. So we thought it's time for a little bit of a brand change. We're going to move away from that. But we really do want to do a massive shout out to Andy Peggs, who started the ball rolling on absolutely all of this. And without him, none of this would happen. This radio show wouldn't be here. All of the community wouldn't be here. And the live shows and all the rest of it that we put together wouldn't be here without Andy Peggs. So Andy Peggs, thank you so much for getting us going on this. Your legacy will live on and on and on in the radio show and in the live shows. So I'm sure there's a big appreciation from everybody for that. So there is a new place to find us. We are on pulse8radio.co.uk. You might want to ask Marianne to pick that spoon up, Martin. And also, if you want to contact us, it's pulse8radio@gmail.com.
I do hope she doesn't swear.
But you'll still be able to find us on the Only Human page as well. So we'll still be bouncing around here too. And we're still on Circle 8 Radio and in all the usual places. And our YouTube channel is the same. It's just been changed name now to PULS8 Radio rather than Only Human Radio. So please keep joining us. Please keep following us. And again, one last time, thank you so much, Andy Peggs, for doing everything for us that you've done so far. And I'm sure you guys will reiterate that as well.
Of course, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. He's the man.
He is the man. And talking about the man, we're on with the show. We've got some amazing things lined up tonight. Martin, you did a marvellous job last week with your lineup. I've got to say, it really was spectacular. But this week, I think you might have outdone yourself.
Again?
Well, I think I don't know what you think, Phil, but it is a lineup and a half.
Yeah. Well, there was there's some anxiety with Andy Peggs stepping away, and he used to do the job Martin is doing now. The transition's been seamless. Fantastic choice of tracks and fantastic diversity in the sound, as always, with Martin's expert ear, which goes back many a year, despite his youthful looks.
Hey, I can see
well, it's obviously we're trying to do a mixture of the community and further afield. So hopefully we've got that balance right.
I think we have, and we've got literally some amazing stuff on tonight. We've got some really great stuff from inside the community as well. I mean, some astonishing stuff and some things which are just closely connected to the community and some things from further afield. So we are starting though, and again, we're going to have to be a little snappy tonight, I'm afraid. We're going to have to be quite quick with everything because again, we've got another part of our interview. We've got the second part of our interview with the utterly amazing and delightful Dominic Hawken. The first part of the interview was just fascinating. Second part is equally as fascinating and equally as just as warm and generous as he was in the first part, but also we've got an amazing piece of music that he's produced straight after that as well. But we'll move on to that a little bit later, but that's why we've got to be quick. So first off, we've got, what's this song, Martin? Where have we had this from?
Yeah, this is a Canadian artist called Austra, Austra, and this song is called The Beat and the Pulse. I thought we'd put a song in there with the pulse in the title, just to sort of get us into our new identity.
See what you've done there, Martin.
So, yeah, I know. Yeah, clever, eh? So this is from a debut album about 10 years ago.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's jump in and have a listen. Let's have a chat about it on the other side. So this is Austra, The Beat.
PULS8 Radio.
way to start the show. That was Austra, the beat and the pulse. And I loved every beat and pulse of that. That was amazing. Phil, come on. I could see you with a big beam on your face there.
Yeah, that was a marvellous choice of track to start the show off. I've used different bands to sort of conjure up what I feel that the artist is putting across. So as if people hear my description, I'm not saying the artist exactly sounds like this, but I was getting the feeling of early Depeche Mode with the bass, the way it started, and the arps and the hi-hats came in and out very clever. Instead of just being constant, they were in and out early on. Just great. There was some fantastic vox that come in as well, some female vocals that came in later on. And when she hit those, I call it the Valkyrie, like falsetto, you know, sort of wild. It just give the whole track a lift. Really good stuff. And
some of those vocals are almost ghostly at points as well.
Yes, sinister.
Yeah, really nice though. I mean, just a beautiful piece of music. Come on, Martin, how did you find that?
Well, the bass line is almost like a melody in itself. I mean, it sort of gives me a reminder of a hooky bass line from New Order, because it's got that sort of that bass line is not just a normal bass line. It's just I think in the description of the song is definitely a beat and a pulse in that bass line. I find I've got 2 or 3 of their albums, and she's very quirky in delivery of the material. So you're probably gonna do comparisons to Kate Bush, possibly, and that sort of quirkiness of her compositions.
We don't want to bring Kate Bushgate back into the whole situation.
Oh no,
not after last week.
No, that was a bad mistake.
And again, if we wanted to listen to more Austra, where can we find that? Is that Bandcamp?
The normal routes of Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, because she is fairly major. So
proper top-notch stuff.
Absolutely,
brilliant.
Yeah, it was superb though. Really, amazing piece of music. And again, we've got to be a little snappy tonight because we've just got so much in the show. So we're going to move on. Yeah. Next, we've got part of the community. This is Glyn Roberts. This is just awesome. This is just absolutely awesome. And again, I just wrote down, we're not going to talk much about this before it goes on, but I just wrote down, if you think the title's mad, wait till you hear the song. It's just brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. So we'll jump straight in. This is Glyn Roberts, and I haven't done how I'm going to pronounce this. It's FFRWD WMACWRW. I think it's fast forward WMACWRW. Let's give it a go. Just awesome. I loved every second of that, and great bit of video as well there. Obviously listening to the radio you didn't quite appreciate that, but that was Glyn Roberts, FFRWD WMAC WRW. It's easy for me to say. How do you find that, Phil?
Well, I thought that the title was a place just outside Cummy Glow, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's not. But we were debating whether it's fast forward or something to do with transport controls on recording equipment. Yeah, like I said in the previous song, I might use different artists just as a point of reference rather than comparing the artist to that well-known artist. Yeah. But this track, you can't compare it to anybody. Absolutely unique.
Unique. It is unique.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was, when I look back at those letters at the beginning, I've had the pleasure of going in an MRI machine more than once, and that's the sound it makes, this track. And when I was in the MRI, some people are terrified with them. Yeah. The MRI machine goes like this, because I thought, I wish I could sample this. when I was in it. It goes. I thought, blimey. I wonder if those letters are controls on an MRI machine, and it's all being cryptic. And he has managed to sample it or recreate it and then put it into a track really cleverly. It's just a really masterful piece of avant-garde electronica, as I call it. And a great choice from Martin to put that type of track in.
Oh yeah, I mean it was, and just the video itself as well. So if you listen on the radio, do please go and watch the YouTube one, because you can see the video there, and you can see Glyn's mastery of the pieces of equipment that he's actually using to do this. Martin, I'm going to jump over to you, but I just wrote down paintballs in the jungle, absolutely bombarded with them. That's what it felt like.
Well, I put down as modular mayhem, white noise extravaganza. And I'm sure there's like a sound like a didgeridoo in there, and a spaceship taking off.
I saw the didgeridoo,
it also would, to me, I mean, it's right up Radiophonic Workshop. It could fit into a Doctor Who's episode quite comfortably. But did you see? Glyn was getting very excited. He started jumping up and down, and he had to pull his jeans up at one point because he was jumping up and down so much. Oh, I put my jeans up.
We've all been there.
He hadn't got a microphone in his jeans, had he?
I think it was my phone.
Didgeridoo.
Had a didgeridoo, yeah.
Well, that was absolutely amazing. Glyn Roberts, thank you so much for sending that in. We'd love to. Any more, Glyn, honestly, please just send them through, because that was just an astonishing piece of music, and great to have that as part of the community. We're staying inside the community as well for the next one. And it's actually you, Martin. So it's very inside the community. It's fourth evening.
Yeah.
Is this off your new album, yeah?
It is, yeah. This one.
That's handy.
Oh, is it back to front? Yeah. Well, hopefully we're going the right way around.
I can see it.
There we go. Yeah,
I see it all right. Yeah.
It's probably just my camera. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah.
Right. I tell you what. Let's jump in, have a listen, and then we can all have a little chat about it on the other side. So this is fourth season. This is Phosphenes.
PULS8 Radio.
out the bag, don't you? It's just, it's almost irritating now that everything you do is so blinking good. It really is. That was Fourth Eden Phosphenes. That was just amazing. Were there found sounds in there? Because I got like a camera shutter noise throughout that.
Well, it's based on a loop. There's a definite loop in there, and I think it's from Machine actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I use Machine software. I drag and drop the sample of the beat across. That's been sort of work in progress for about 2-3 years, and until I actually started working on this album, I started to have a look at it again. And actually, it had a working title of Yossi Hotkins, based on two of my favourite sort of musicians, Yossi Horikawa and John Hopkins, because I thought, hey, it sounds a bit like that, but I'm not too sure what to call it. So that's how it developed.
It's an amazing track, though, Martin. It really is. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it almost felt like kind of floating through the mist on the top of a mountain lake. It was just so relaxing and easy just to be inside that song. How did you find it, Phil?
Well, it's funny you should say that about floating in the mist on top of a mountain lake, because as you know, I'm on my holidays in Wales now, and I thought, I'm starting to see why Martin produces all this, landscape of sound in his music and ethereal sort of expansive sound. And this track, it was up there with all the others that I've heard off Martin, and the Fourth Eden title he uses. And I just found that it was, it got a feeling of lemon jelly. About it, and then with wafts of like mid-term Kraftwerk in there as well later on, and then it finished off with what I call an enigmatic piano and birdsong and stuff, which just the transition was perfect in it. And I was looking out the window at the mountains that I've got the view here where I am, and I just thought, that's why he does this sort of music. Brilliant.
The hills are inspiring.
It is an utterly beautiful piece of music, Martin, as is the whole of your album. So if somebody wants to go and actually access your album, where can they get it from?
Well, they can download it from Bandcamp, fourth-eden.bandcamp.com, or they can physically buy the CD, as I got here.
So if they want to buy the CD, Martin, how do they do that?
Best to message me. There's a PayPal link if they want to buy that. So if people buy this album, then they actually get a code for the download of the Bandcamp, which includes 4 extra tracks.
All right, Martin, you've had enough advertising now.
That's the incentive. I know.
More than enough of that. No, but it is an amazing album. Please do invest in that if you like beautiful, ethereal, wonderful landscape music. It is an amazing piece of artistry, that whole album, Martin. It really is something to be extremely proud of.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for the superb song. So we're moving on. We've now got this is just one of I think possibly the best title of the night, with the exception of Glyn Roberts', which again may be the best title of the night. But I don't know. It's a tough fought challenge. We'll move straight into this one and chat on the other side. This is Andrew Bayer with Dedicated to Boston's Waste Management System. Yeah, I can see why that was dedicated to Boston's waste management system. It kind of had those feels in there. There was the odd sludgy sound. I got that kind of thing. It was what a wonderful piece of music, and some brilliant side chaining in there. We talked about side chaining the other week. We haven't managed to do our tech talk in yet because we've run out of space on each show. So side chaining was just absolutely spot on in there. How did you find it, Phil?
Yeah, it was fantastic. The reverse samples to start with. This was actually a very clever track, because I was listening to it thinking, how's he doing this? Because they started off with reverse samples, and then there was like some scraping music box type pads that came in. Then suddenly the reverse samples didn't sound so reversed anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to me. Anyway, I'm listening on my phone, so
almost like the samples reversed and then brought back to normal.
Yeah, normal, or whether it was just the effect of the interaction of the two sounds. Then there was a more solid rhythm came in, and then like a match being struck snare drum, it sounded like to me. Probably if I've got decent headphones and that, this might all sound totally different. But and then there was a thing of drunken sounding choir, and then in the end, I felt like that they were being flushed down the pipes into the waste management system to finish. I thought, maybe I could see why he used this title.
I think you've been drinking.
What I was expecting from the title.
I think you've been drinking too much Welsh beer.
You could be right, yeah.
But it is a super.
And you've just had your pipes done, Martin. Haven't you?
That's it.
Your pipes
done,
pardon
the expression.
Yeah, perhaps need to play this track and turn the taps on and see what happens.
Well, I had to do it in the bathroom. But anyway, it was it was an amazing piece of music. So, Martin, where did we actually find Andrew Bayer from?
So there's a record label called Anjuna Beats, and I don't know if you guys know about it, but it's a lot of club sounds, from trance sounds from about 10 years ago. And as I say, I don't know what they're on about, probably volume 20 by now or something like that.
Right.
It's based for, and there's artist called Above and Beyond, and they're behind it. And Andrew Bayer is one of the artists that plays on this collection, but this is his own album, rather than like a high energy sort of 140 BPM dance track. This is his own stuff, which I think is very different to the Anjuna Beats stuff. But say that's how I discovered him, and I've listened to the whole album, and it's awesome. Yeah, it really. And to me, and as you know, again, back to the John Hopkins thing. Yeah. It does remind me of that sort of glitchiness that John Hopkins produces in his work.
Yeah, absolutely, and a beautifully produced piece of work as well. So if we want to listen to more Andrew Bayer's stuff, where did we find that?
Andrew Bayer at bandcamp.com.
Superb. Well, dive into that. Enjoy more of that stuff. Andrew Bayer, thank you so much for letting us play that. That was a wonderful piece of music. Again, apologies, we do have to keep it snappy tonight, so we're going to move on. And now it's time for...
Martin's Monster. It's called Gancho.
Yes, that's right. It's Martin's Monster. Oh, yes. And what a monster you've picked this week, Martin. I tell you what, we're just going to... well, actually, if I can get this one right, let's see if I can get the title right and make sure I've got this correct. We're going to jump into it. We're going to be out the other side. We'll have a chat about it there. This is Stephen Jones and Logan Skye. Another hallucination.
Light fades, light returns, a single smile connecting us. In quest of all your knowledge, I watch the night create the day. I watch the night. I watch the night. I watch the night create.
Hallucination. Ta voix, tes yeux, tes mains, tes lèvres, tes lèvres. Le regard, la parole et le fait que je t'aime. Comme un dialogue d'amoureux, le cœur n'a qu'une seule bouche. Toutes les choses au hasard, tous les mots dits sans y penser. J'allais vers toi, j'allais sans fin vers la lumière. Si tu souris, c'est pour mieux m'envahir.
Everything is by chance. Every word without thought. Sentiment drifting as men roam this city. A glance. A word. Everything by chance.
Tu commences à te détacher de moi. Je sens que le mensonge devient trop réel. Le monde ne peut pas exister en dehors du temps. Le regard, la parole fait que je t'aime.
Another hallucination. Stephen Jones and Logan Skime. That was, I'll tell you what, I'm not even going to say what that was because we've got a sound file through from Stephen Jones to explain a little bit about the song. So we're going to play that first and then we're going to talk about it. So here we go. This is Stephen Jones talking about his track.
Sons of Hallucination. My first idea, I mean, it came from, I think Logan sent me a very atmospheric backing track and I was struck by its kind of cinematic qualities, and I had been watching the Alphaville movie at that point, and it felt to me like it was the theme tune to a European art house movie, you know, grainy and black and white and full of darkness and sex. So it started there, and I was thinking about Fade to Grey, and one of the things that, Fade to Grey, of course, is a genuine iconic classic, and its beauty does lie in that combination of the coolness of the synths and the French spoken bits. And I always kind of thought it would be great at some point to do something like that. So it was just happenstance, really, that I happened to be about to teach yoga. And a woman who was coming into my class on a regular basis came into the reception where I was standing before teaching, and she was speaking in a French accent, and I just said right then, off the top of my head, would you like to record your voice? And she said yes, and I did it pretty quickly. I mean, I had some lyrics which were kind of influenced by Alphaville, and we just recorded them, and I then edited them on the demo, and it just all felt right, you know. So it's a new thing, and it's an old thing. And is it influenced by Fade to Grey? Absolutely. There is an element of homage to Fade to Grey, which I'm sure anybody can hear. But it also is coming from that kind of tradition of the beauty of the French language, the existential searching of French writers, and the kind of bleak eroticism of those 60s French movies.
Comme un dialogue d'amoureux, le cœur n'a qu'une seule bouche. Toutes les choses au hasard.
That's great. That's great to hear the artist talking about the track that way as well. Again, we're going to have to be super snappy here, but Phil, what an amazing track, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was beautiful, and loved the chaos, the swirling pads that it started with, and then I thought it was treated saxophone poking up now and again because it's featuring Gary Barnacle on the saxophone.
Yeah, that's Gary Barnacle, and he's played with everybody literally. Yeah, and Gary Barnacle did join Visage at one point because his brother, Steve Barnacle.
Right, because I've put in my notes. Then there was some French female sample, which immediately took me back to Fade to Grey and Visage, even though the track is nothing like it. But one of my favourite tracks is Fade to Grey, and it just took me there with the tone of her voice and everything. And then untreated, beautifully played saxophone came in, giving it more of a jazzy feel. Yeah, it was just a beautiful track. Very good.
Wasn't it? End to end.
Yeah.
And almost hypnotic. Yeah. And was there a bit of an influence or something in there? There was something in there, particularly at the beginning. Quite often it's just me. And again, it might be this week that it's just me due to the silence and the blank looks on everybody else's face.
The only thing I thought was the Visage.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, obviously with that sound file, it's a definite nod to Fade to Grey. And these two musicians both met independently through Steve Strange, who's, bless him, is no longer with us. I saw the reincarnation of Visage back in 2013 when Logan Sky was the keyboard player.
But amazing piece of music, great bass line, that bit of a little bit of French in there as well. And have a listen again. You might find that Eastern influence, or it literally could just be me.
Could well be.
It could well be. So we'll have to move on. Thank you very much, Stephen Jones and Logan Sky, for letting us play that. That is a superb piece of music. Right, we're going to move on to another little bit of voice file here. So we've got our second part of our interview with the wonderful, extremely generous Dominic Hawken. So if you didn't see the first part of the interview, that was in the first show where we talked about Dominic's early career. year, and we're moving a little bit further forward into his career now and into modern day and what he's doing now. And again, it's just as fascinating as the first half. So thank you so much, Dominic, for giving us your time so generously. So we'll jump into the interview. On the other side, we're going to play Dominic's song, which is Nodder. And what a nodder it is. What a absolutely astonishing track it is. So anyway, please enjoy the interview. Please enjoy the song, and we'll have a chat on the other side. Again, so we almost skipped past songwriting. And again, we can't really skip past that because you co-wrote what is an iconic song of the 90s, which, it really is. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing song, and it's a song everybody knows, and it was a massive hit. It was a hit. Oh, well, it was, just trying to remember, I did write it down somewhere. It was a hit, a massive hit in the UK.
95 or something. Yeah.
I think it was 95
it was
or 96,
everywhere apart
wasn't
from America.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the list said. Yeah, that's pretty much what it said. And of course, anybody who doesn't know, it's "Stay Another Day" by S17, which was, it was a beautiful song, really nice Christmassy number. But
thank you.
But how did that come about again? Because into songwriting from production, from being a keyboard player, it's quite a step again. Yeah, you meet
a lot of people, obviously, when you're doing that kind of stuff in that circle. And having worked with quite a few people, I probably was around on people's lists of, maybe that guy can do something kind of thing. There's a key group of friends of about 10 people that I have who I've literally known since the 18-year-old me stepped into London, including Marilyn and George actually, but and most of them have stayed within the industry. And have often worked with me or given me a call or whatever. We stay in touch, and it's the strongest friendship. It's amazing. It's the strongest friendship I've ever had. And that was an example of one of them. One of the guys who I'd done some work with before was involved with managing the band.
Yeah,
a guy called Rob Keane, who I co-wrote the song with actually. And what had happened was I was looking to get a proper job, really. I'd sort of stepped aside a little bit from doing the music for a couple of reasons. One, like the dance thing had dropped. I was feeling a bit old in terms of, I was like, 28, 30, and I couldn't compete against the kids with the laptops making really kick-ass tunes, just as I can't now, and there's some brilliant tracks coming out. And I was just thinking, I don't know. Just looking around. I'd set up a company with a couple of mates that was doing digital audio and multimedia, which was fairly forefront at the time. It was the big new thing, and we were doing quite well. And I was having fun, and it was good. So music, at least for that time, had taken a little bit of a back step. So I was still spending nights in the studio and days in the office, but it's fine. But anyway, I had a call from Rob saying, he's 17, they've got to write the second album. And I loved E17. Never met him, didn't even know Rob was managing them, actually, to be honest, with their management team. And they really touched a spot with me of being I love pop music anyway, but the pop with a little bit of an attitude and fun and entertaining and always funny. And he said, do you fancy getting involved with the band? We've got a couple of weeks. You've got to write the next album. And want to be more involved because the producer was quite produced first album where they didn't get that much involvement with the sound, and they've proved everybody wrong. But E17 were always as good as the last single, and I think that within the industry and within London Records for a while, it was like, we'll just put out another one, see what happens. We'll just do it. It's worked. We'll just do another record. They weren't a priority act, I don't think. So anyway, and I kind of took that to mean do a few demos with bands whilst the producers maybe make the album again. If they've locked them out the first time. I never met the guys. I don't know what's going on. Kind of do it like that. And I booked a holiday for a couple of weeks. So I thought, I tell you what, 2 weeks with E17, hot summer, a bit like it was today, in a studio having a laugh is better than going to Greece or wherever it was I booked to go. I'm going to cancel my holiday and go and do that. It was obviously a great decision. So literally that was it. So I turned up, set all my kit up at a little studio that we often worked at, just a little demo studio, no kit like I've got now. And I worked with and Tony Mortimer, the singer, didn't work with the rest of the band, and we just wrote a song a day, literally for 10 days. And Stay Another Day was on the first day, literally on the first day. We it was a nice song, but we didn't realise what we had.
Yeah.
And we finished at 5. I think we turned up about 11, definitely out of the door by 6.
So
and I basically recorded an entire demo of the whole thing.
Well, that was built in a day. So from scratch, from 0 to end of song in a day. From
nothing.
Wow.
So the management had a list of tunes, of 10 tunes that they wanted: ballads, the football chant, the dance track, whatever. So literally 5 genres of songs that they wanted to cover off, which was a good start, actually. I'd never worked like that before. So you said, what should we do today? Well, let's do the easy one, because it's always easy to write a ballad, right? So let's do that. Some chords, and it just came together into the 3 of us. And yeah, that was it. And I demoed it. We had an 8-track tape machine and some keyboards all running off my Atari and MIDI and stuff, usual story. And we just ended up with the demo, vocals and everything. Pretty much most of the stuff that ended up on the demo, singer resung it, and it wasn't a million miles away. The original demo that we had drums on it. Yeah. And the final version, funnily enough, they couldn't make drums work on the final version. It never really sat right for me, but you kind of put them on. By the time the first chorus comes in, the drums kick in or whatever, But they got quite frustrated. It was produced by Paul Harding and Ian Kerno, who were amazing producers. And so they took the demos and turned it into the track that it really is. But they got really frustrated. They couldn't make the drums work. And one night, late at night, they just thought they'd put a pass down without the drums, just as a B-side, that being the one, funnily enough. We'll leave it as it is. But yeah, that's the moment. I was chatting to someone else earlier today about when you're writing songs, about the ones that come quick are the ones that are often the best. You may take another 6 months to produce a final recorded version, but that spark is just that moment, just come, the ease at which it comes just comes. And it was just one of those moments. And 8 of the songs ended up on the album out of the 10. So it was like, this is crazy.
That's incredible.
And I do remember, I mean, on day 3 the phone went, and the producer said, have you got any songs? And I was like, I really wanted to send you some songs. I literally just decided that I was entertainment factor, go and have a laugh. Thank goodness we've done some, including Stay Another Day. I mean, how bonkers is that? So I'll bike you over I'll send you over the DAT now. Go on, knock yourselves out. And they were like, this is a brilliant track. I was like, yeah, of course it is. Go on. Got another one, They were like, no, seriously, I think you've really got one here. I was like, all right. And then the publishing company rang up the next day, literally, like everything starts kicking off then. It's like, oh, have you got your publishing signed? Well, you realize the music industry can actually, the speed at which they can act when there's something in it for them,
Oh, crikey.
But yeah, that was that one.
That's amazing. That is amazing. What an experience that must have been. That must have been absolutely phenomenal. And then you've kind of moved on quite considerably since then and turned into a, you're a plugin producer now. Am I describing that right? Under Mr. Wiggly?
That's today's hat. Yes. I've always been kind of technical, which is one of the reasons I used to get the work, being technical and musical. And I've always been, I think one of my skills really throughout my life has been the ability to talk to non-technical people.
Yeah.
So, and to make people feel comfortable that they're not kind of being bamboozled with stuff.
Yeah.
And that's gone from kind of when I first was doing live keyboards, I had to pretend I wasn't technical because it was incredibly uncool. So you couldn't be a happening musician and be technical. And it shows you how bonkers things have changed in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But yes, the more music I've done, obviously things have changed with the way distribution and the internet and everything kicked off fairly early in sort of my career. But I was around the best bits of the old music industry when they kind of had everything far too easy, come to the amazing opportunities that we've got now, and seen how to kind of take advantage of them to a degree, and the plus sides and the downsides. But I after Stay Another Day, I did take some time out. I've always still done some music, but I kind of thought you could go absolutely mad trying to write another tune that did that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have seen a lot of people in the industry lose it. You know, I'm very lucky to have kept most of my marbles. I'm sure George and Marilyn and many people that I've worked with, the front of the band, E17 included, have definitely had their challenges, you know. And I did think it was pretty much time for at least a bit of a break, and to not try and beat myself up about trying to write another song. If it happened, it happened. But, you know, and I'd already been running a company with two other guys that had done well, but had moved on into a more kind of internet techie company, away from the digital audio, and actually more into secure hosting and internet hosting. So it was a very valid company, but its path had moved away from what I was with. And I actually set up another company with another friend after that for that ended about 4 years ago, when it was bought by a larger company that was in the gambling industry of all things, which was really weird. But I started building. I had a friend called Andy Clarkson, who was the editor, and he built Maxim magazine in the US.
All right, yeah.
Biggest men's mag in the US, the biggest magazine in the US forever. He worked with Dennis Publishing, and when Dennis Publishing was sold, he was effectively jobless. You know, incredibly successful, but jobless. Came back to the UK looking into building a kind of gambling-oriented lads mag version of Maxim online in the UK. It's probably the best way to describe it, because a lot of the advertisers in the US were gambling companies, and so it was a natural thing to get involved with. Didn't really work. It's very different, you know, that kind of stuff. But what we ended up doing was, a lot of the gambling companies said, we don't really want your magazine or anything, but can you help us out, because we've got all these challenges trying to get new customers and trying to, you know how our target market minds work. Basically, our target market is your readers of Maxim magazine. We need to do. And he came up with a few ideas, and really strangely, he just rang me up and said, I'm suggesting all these things, and they're all technical. I have no idea how to build them. And all these companies are saying, yeah, great, off you go and build them. Can we do something? You know, just at the time when I was thinking, I need to take a bit of a break from this, I was like, yes, this sounds good. I am not sporty in the slightest. It's don't gamble. Perfect. You know, I can just hide away in the back room and I can build stuff. You know, it's interesting. So we ended up, you know, the adverts you get between football matches that say Rooney to score twice in the League One, you know, right? I built the system that pushes those ads onto the TV, because it's live, you know, they're pushed through instantly. So it's all about very fast data. And we also built a ton of other stuff for the industry. We built a thing that instead of getting adverts on websites that said free £25 bet next to an article about Man United, I built a kind of mini Google system that would go off and go, oh, that's an article about Man United. I'm going to go and find all the scores and data about Man United and give them a nice little advert with a tiny little, all this stuff associated with attracting people, you know, that kind of thing. Nothing to do with music whatsoever. So I built systems that did that, and I did that for 10 years, as well as a bit of music in the background. And William Hill bought the company about three and a half years ago. So this was great, because I was just getting to the point where I was like thinking, still doing loads of music, I really want to do some more music again, and it was just perfect. So the company is doing very well, and everyone was really happy about the whole thing. So that then there was a reason behind that. I didn't want to talk about gambling particularly, but that then gave me the time to get back into music, but I still wanted to do some. So I looked at plugins. I've done two things. I've done the Incinerator plugin, which is out now, obviously, and that's the main thing, which is a plugin that you can use with your DAW. Just before that, I wrote an app for the iPhone and the iPad called Snuggle Sounds, which was sleep music, like a lullaby generator. It's really an ambient sound engine, but it's packaged in a
one of my daughters has got it.
Thing.
Yeah, one of my daughters has got it. Yeah,
fabulous.
Honest to God, yeah, that's she was only telling me about that about 2 weeks ago.
It's really neat.
Yeah.
It's really neat. If I say so myself, I have a 9-year-old daughter who wasn't sleeping well at all. And I went and said, YouTube, you know, lullaby. And it's literally 8 hours of awful, clingy bell, horrible sounding stuff with 30 million views. And because mum and dad have gone, oh, that'll do, flick that on. Oh, so I wrote a few bits of music and played them, and it made my daughter go to sleep. And then a few friends asked for them. And then I basically decided to make an app. So it's got everything from kind of ambient music to rain noises. And it's kind of, in the nicest possible way, the apps and stuff that were out there, with a few good exceptions, were basically apps first and music second.
Yeah.
Make this amazing app, just stick some audio in it. It's a bit like writing a magazine, but not caring about the text.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I made a great blog, but I'm not writing anything in it. The most important bit is the music. So I did the music, and then I had to learn how to kind of code the app together. And that was a baptism of fire. So after that, I thought, well, it's sort of sitting there. It's done nice. I'm glad it's working for your daughter. And I decided to get more involved in some plugins. So that brings us all the way nearly up to the present day, where I've started making plugins, of which Incinerator is the first, and seem to be doing really well, actually.
Oh, I bet it is, because I watched the demos of it. I've not actually used it yet, but I did watch the demos of it, and I'm going to get it because it looks so cool. But you've actually used an incinerator with a microphone trapped inside the incinerator. Have you actually got it there?
Yes, exactly right.
It was incredible.
It's behind me. Yeah, it's just behind there. I don't know if you. Yeah, I might. You can almost see a tiny silver.
Just see the corner of it down there.
There. That's it. Yeah, that was so weird, because I'm on Sonic State, which is a kind of synthy music podcast.
Yeah,
that's been the longest running one. It's been running for, really privileged to be on there occasionally. And we were on there chatting about stuff and about plugins and processing, and saying about, if you're working in the box and keeping everything, within the computer, sometimes it's worthwhile making it sound out of the box. So you could do various things, and you can buy all sorts of channel strips and plugins, of which Incinerator is one, and all sorts to do it. And I just said, to be honest, you can also just reamp it. If you just get a mic and play this thing out your speakers, get the mic, stick it in front of your speakers, and just record that and mix that to sound more interesting than just your basic synth sound, And it was the idea that there's these amazing synth VSTs and plugins that you can get that sound great, but do sound a little clean, perhaps.
Yeah, clinical almost.
Yeah. And Serum and Omnisphere, I mean, they are bonkers, absolutely brilliant. But occasionally, wouldn't it be nice to kind of just have it coming out speaker, and And so I said, it costs you nothing. If you've got a mic and you've got your speakers that you're monitoring on, stick them there, or get an old PA speaker and stick it through that. And I just flippantly said, to me, it sounds brilliant. Just throw an old speaker in a dustbin and I might turn it up, record that. It's going to give you, And I think a few people laughed, and I was like, right, I'm going to get a dustbin. So I did. And actually, it sounded brilliant. It sounded great. I was making a few YouTube videos. I started, as with most of these things, I thought, I'll make some YouTube videos. And I bought a Deluge when they first came out. And I started making a few YouTube videos about that. Well, that's what kicked me. And they've had quite a few views. And the Deluge was the thing that spurred me onto it. So I thought, I'm going to make a YouTube video about my Incinerator. And honestly, you can't really tell what it sounds like in the room when you're recording, because it's so loud. The whole thing's like... But when I turned it off and I'd mixed the track back, I thought, this is actually, this is good. I like this. It's you have to EQ it a bit, maybe lose a bit at the bottom, but it's moving air. It's the only way I can describe it. There is definitely a really good sound that sounds like, it's different. So this linked the video, and the people were chatting about it, because the YouTube video is obviously quirky enough to go, have you seen this mad bloke in his dustbin, and then I just thought, I want to make some plugins. And the angle on the plugins to me was, I found that I've ended up using the same plugins on everything. I've got my chosen set of plugins that I almost put on almost every channel. I might not switch them all on, but generally, and that plugin would tend to be some Fab Filter, multiple compressor, or maybe the EQ. I love the ozone across everything, or little bits on there. If it's a delay, I'll probably use a Logic's inbuilt delay, or one of the probably 5 or 6 plugins, and I hardly touch anything else. And then I looked at that plugins list of plugins is probably 1,200 quid's worth of software, actually. So, they're not cheap, and I've used them to death. So they've obviously paid for themselves, but I'm also only using about 2% of what that plugin is actually capable of doing. What I'd really like to do is make a set of plugins that just do the bits I want, and I can charge a lot less for them. And I'll produce 20 quid series of plugins that if you put 4 of them on your thing, you've probably got pretty close to where I'm at. They're not going to rival the Waves and the Fab filters, and they're certainly not. I mean, Fab filters are beautiful interfaces, but actually, for my preset range of what I'm doing with a bit of stuff, I could probably spend £100 and I'll get really close to it. That to me sounds like a really good project to do. And the first one I'll do is the incinerator, because actually it's the only one that doesn't exist at the moment. So we use it on loads of stuff. So I thought, well, we'll kick it off. I've got to learn how to program plugins for starters. Let's just see what happens with this one. And I made it, and I was really, really pleasantly surprised when I finally I've been working in the other room on a Mac there, so the speakers aren't great. I've been fixing the plugin, and the day that I kind of copied it over to here, where I thought it's not finished, but this is what it's going to sound like, and switched it on, I was like, wow. My wife walked in and I said, listen, this is what I just made, and there's 5 or 6 different presets on there of different. It's not just an incinerator. There's a big PA stack and an old few more bits and pieces. And she was like, whoa, because half of me was a bit worried you wouldn't hear a difference, actually. I mean, you never know with these things, or you might just hear something and go, but she was just like, wow, this sounds great, So that was a real moment, and I launched it 3 months ago, I think, and Sonic State and a few people were really, really kind and kind of promoted it a little bit, and it's done really well. And I've got just finishing up now the first update release, which is kind of a few lists from people and a few improvements on things like the reverb. I've improved a little bit, and then it's on to the next one. But I'm really, really chuffed, because I had to build the website and all the supporting stuff and do the press releases and make a kind of ordering system, and all the bits that surround it are actually harder than making the plugin itself, the copy protection and all that kind of thing. But it's been a really really good
well, it's awesome. And again, you can go to your website and find it, can't you? So it is I think it's mrwiggly.co.uk.
mrwiggly.co.uk. Yes, absolutely. So worth a thing. The other thing that's going up shortly is a demo. I haven't actually had a free demo download, so it's been people quite happy to give you your money back if you buy it and you don't like it. Not a problem. But so people have been buying it based on the demos and word of mouth. I think we've only have to refund maybe a couple, which is amazing.
Well, again, just looking at it and the demos. So the bits you've got on the website where you're actually showing how it works as well. It's the interface is just beautifully simple. Nothing overly complicated about it. It's got the few knobs on there that you need to create the sound that you need. It's it's a great way of designing stuff.
Thank you.
I love plugins which have got loads of buttons all over them and all the rest of it, and they look great, but I haven't got a clue what most of it does.
Yes. Well, this is back to what I was saying about me using 10 or 20% of the plugins that I've got that I am using, and every now and then I do scratch the surface, and maybe normally I'll see a YouTube video or something and someone will go, have you seen this? God, it does that, but it's lost, and it's just lost in there on me. And you could make it really a lot more complicated, actually. It's quite a task to remove some of the bits on there. So as well as the incinerator, there is a delay and a reverb section, and they're not meant to be competing with top delays or reverbs. They're meant to be embellishments. If you're going to use a reverb, you should probably use a dedicated reverb, and I will be coming up with one. But even so, you could add a lot more parameters in that reverb, just with a bit of pre-delay and a bit of length on there. And it's like, no, we're going to make it really simple. Just have, five position switches throughout. And I think that really works. It really does. It's back to being completely simple. And the other key thing for me was keeping the CPU load down. The one thing I hate is if you're adding a lot of these on every channel, suddenly you're running out. If you've got a decent Mac, even if you've got a basic Mac that should be able to run Logic, you should really be able to run an incinerator on every channel if you want to, without it completely caning the thing, and that could be a bit of a challenge as well under the bonnet. But yeah, so I'm really proud. And honestly, I never expected to hear back from people sending me. Here's a thing I did on SoundCloud that I've put. I recorded some guitar and I've used it on guitar, or I've got these drums, or yeah. I mean, I originally intended it for being on things like synths, really. So Sphere and all your classics and Falcon and Diva and all that. It just makes an analogy sounding synth more analogy and you know. But of course, it does work on Joe. There's demos of it, and vocals. The guy was sending me some stuff he'd done on vocals, which just sounds great. And it is a turn it on. Oh, I like that. Yeah, and if you don't like it, that's a bit unfortunate because it doesn't do much else. You know, you can adjust the niceness factor, but it really does. Some, you know, there's stuff I've heard of people saying, "I've just put it on everything. Have a listen to this," and it doesn't sound like it's on everything. It's just you know, less is more. It just there's a depth there, I think. You know. And then, of course, carry on.
No, go on, Dom.
I was just going to say people like Ty on Sonic State. Saying, because he loved it, he goes, great, and I was really worried because he doesn't mince his words.
No, I didn't pull punches.
You know, so, yeah, this is really good. Yeah, and he really did love it. And he was saying, you know, I put it on and it reminded me of the early Depeche Mode album when they were reamping everything. And of course, it's reamping is the technical name for this. You know, stick it through something and mic it up. And they were doing it with massive PA stacks, or you could do it in tunnels or whatever. And it does have that sound, which I never realized at the time that's what they were doing, because you were playing samples and synths and thinking it doesn't sound like that, you know. It doesn't have that almost industrial
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the way it is.
But it is so cool. So I do recommend anybody go on to mrwiggly.co.uk and have a look at that and download it and get it bought, because you've got demos on there showing what all the presets do, and it is amazing. And there's also a great video on there which just explains about how you did it with the actual incinerator as well, which is just superb as well.
Yes, that's the original, the one where it all first started. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is superb. Dominic Hawken, it's been an utter pleasure talking to you this evening. I've really enjoyed myself, and really appreciate you spending the time with us. I know
it's brilliant to be on it. As I say, I'm a big fan, so yeah, more power to you. It's really good, and I hope lots of people hear it as well. It's really good.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to jump into a song now. So we're actually going to play. This is a Mr. Wiggly that you did for. I think it was Clownfest. Actually, you did this for, wasn't it?
For this, so Clownfest was an online festival. It's Clownfest 6 is coming up in August. I think it's a really good thing. Check out Clownfest on Facebook for that. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Tom. Dominic Hawken, thank you so much for doing that with us. That really was very much appreciated. Again, apologies for the internet issues we had during that interview there. We had a few little glitches that came through it from my side, unfortunately, but there we go. Apologies for that. But what an amazing song Nodder was. Good Lord. That was for Clownfest, I think, again, that he did that. But crikey, Phil.
Well, it was just up my street. I loved this. I especially loved his bespoke bass drum sound that he got in there to start off. And it was just a classic trance track. And it was up there with us, the best of the trance stuff. I'm a sucker for trance anyway. So, it couldn't go wrong as far as I'm concerned. I thought he said Georgie, the name Georgie, and then our dog's called Georgie. So that made me like it even more. Probably didn't say Georgie at all, but
could be. But that was a proper release quality piece of music. That was superb. And that was also so I think Dominic said that he'd actually pre-prepared some of it, but the majority of that was actually done on the fly as he was going through it, using the piece of equipment that we saw him doing in the video there. So it's an astonishing piece of music, really. So do you think, Martin?
Yeah, it could. You're right. It could be up there with the likes of Dead Mouse and other big DJs. Yeah, definitely one for the club scene. There's some beautiful sound effects and sweeps in there. Top notch.
Yeah, top notch is the word. Thank you so much again, Dominic, for generously giving us the time with that. And again, Dominic is part of our Only Human community again, and we appreciate that too. So we're going to move on, and we're going to move into another track and have a chat on the other side. Oh man, our live. This is a track and a half as well. We really have got some crackers on tonight.
There's some great ones tonight, isn't there? Well done, Martin.
It's a hot, sweaty night here as well, and these are just playing perfectly for it. So here we go. Let's just jump into it. This is Hypnotica. This is Time Tracks. Hypnotica indeed. That was Time Tracks. What? It was a belting dance tune, wasn't it? It's hard to know what to say. We've got some right dance tunes in tonight, haven't we, Phil?
Oh, yeah. And this was lovely. And it had got an orbish feel to me at the start, like a hypnotic, echoey, trippy sort of start, like the orb, and then head swaying, triplety throb, I thought, the bass lines and stuff. Waves of noise, which remind me of Dina Stinkler with that pebbly beach. And that noise when the pebbles are dragged back by the tide. There seemed to be a bit of that in there, which I thought was very clever, the way they'd done it. Then in comes the straight bass drum and the noise snare, perfectly accented with some breathy stab. Very, very good. Another great track on the show.
I mean, it again, just couldn't fault it at all. It was a proper dance track, that just absolutely superb. So again, Martin, where have we found Hypnotica from?
Well, again, another one of my contacts. He's Matt McKenzie. I think he lives in Derby. He's actually in the Only Human group now. He's joined, and hopefully he'll be with us on PULS8 as well. So he's a DJ on Artifactor Radio, which is based in Mexico.
Oh,
but they broadcast from Mexico's. So he's got his own Radio Hypnotica Electronica show.
Yeah.
So he plays similar artists. Yeah, I mean, I thought. To me, when it first started, sounds very Tangerine Dream-esque, and then went smack bang into a dance groove. So you got like two parts to it, really.
Fantastic. Marvelous. And I did write down. I mean, it's hard to say that's my track of the night, because I wrote down that's my track of the night, and then I re-listened to Dominic Hawken and thought, hang a minute, that's my track of the night. And then I had to listen to Glyn Roberts again and thought, actually, I do really like that, actually. So I don't know. I just don't know. But everything's just so good tonight. It really is. So thank you very much indeed for sending that in again and letting us play that. It really is greatly appreciated. And we've got another good stalwart of the show coming up as well now. It's good old Dr. Skime. And I think this is possibly one of the three up for the title of the night. So this is Dr. Skime with Twax.
Sorry? What was that?
You pair of what?
Twax. Wow, that was Dr. Skime with Twax. That was a sonic onslaught, which is what we tend to get from Dr. Skime. It was just utterly
what was it?
awesome.
But what was it called?
Twax, I think. You've got the spelling wrong, Phil. It's an X.
Maybe he's got a speech impediment like like Jonathan Ross.
So how did you find it, Phil? It's a Dr. Skime classic again, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you see, Marty must be reading my mind, because I thought it was supposed to be tracks. But if you remember from the 1970s, and I'm wondering how old Dr. Skime is, whether he remembers this, and if he was influenced by this person, Freddie Parrotface Davis. Because I think that's how he pronounced tracks. Quacks. Thick up to here, he used to say, something like that.
Freddie Parrotface Davis, yeah, I remember him.
This was a classic. It was a classic Skime, though, wasn't it? He's a friend of the show, folks, and this is actually one of his tamer titles. I went on his YouTube channel, not YouTube. What's it called? SoundCloud. SoundCloud. Yeah, went on his SoundCloud. And it's got some great titles on there, like Finger Poked Through and stuff like that.
He didn't do the unmentionable, did he? Who did the DDD? I shan't mention it.
I think he did the DDD.
I think that was Skime. Yeah, I think it was Skime. I also Dag Dog's Dick. It was we'll put some echo on that.
But back to his music, because I'm sure he'd like us to talk more about that. I just thought it was just classic Skime, wasn't it? It was got like some sort of woodwindy sort of sound that he created synthetically, and then in came what I called the tympanic sounds. Oof. Which is one of the words you've used, Jules, in the past.
Tympanic.
I'm glad to hear that word has caught on.
It's coming back.
Like a tympanic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell whether it got two notes or whatever. It seemed to be part of the bass line, bass drum, like timpani drums. It was. Yeah, it was another great piece of music from the Doctor.
Right, we're going to move on into now. This is a friend of the show, but it's a friend of another show as well. So it's a friend of Modulate Show, who's now become a friend of our show, which is wonderful that we've got a bit of cross pollination across the shows there. So we'll talk a little about this on the other side. This is Paul Williams, who is Probbie. This is Counterpart. That was Paul Williams, Probbie, Counterpart. What a wonderful piece of music that was. That was just beautiful, all the way direct from Stevenage, just on the outskirts of Massachusetts. The reason I say that is that I thought I just said, is this guy from Americans? No, Stevenage. Close enough, isn't it? But anyway, apart from that. So, it's Phil. What a lovely piece of music, wasn't it? That felt like a fresh spring day to me.
Yeah, it was fabulous. I love there's a lot of stereo spread. There's two counter opposed arps. There's a couple of arp patterns going on. One very much in the left, one in the right. And then a counter melody, a metallic sort of a third melody, if you like, to go over the top of that. Really found it fascinating the way they put it together. This is another really cleverly put together track.
Yeah.
The drums as well weren't standard fare. There was sort of a bit of skip beat to them that give it a sort of a jazz feel. And there's some discordant stuff and a discordant key shift that came a bit later on, which once again jazzed it up a little bit. It was very. You couldn't liken it to anything else. I thought it was a very beautiful track. And another good choice, good choice again on the show.
Really was. How did you find it, Martin?
Well, as he's said to me in a message, it's quite a uplifting piece, and I think what he was referring to, that he does more darker type of tracks. But he says a more joyful piece of for a change. He says a pendulum melody is the centerpiece, decorated by two arpeggios of different length, either side of a stereo field. Well spotted, Phil. A second melody is added, delayed version of melody, producing a counterpoint effect. A deep bass and some real percussion from distant effects complete the picture. So recorded live. So it's a one-off.
Amazing.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. For a live piece of music, that is amazing.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Really is. It's astonishing. So again, thank you very much indeed, Probbie. Would really love to play more of your stuff on here. Anyway, thank you very much indeed, Probbie. That was amazing. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to pronounce this in the correct way and introduce it, and then I'll just pass over to Martin and he'll do it right. So this is Johan Agebjörn and Mikael Ögren. Is that right, Martin?
You might be right. I say Johan Agebjörn and Mikael Ögren.
That sounds better than mine. Significantly better than mine. And this is Monitoring the Zoids.
It is.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce the names again, but that was utterly wonderful. Johan and Mikael, that was an amazing piece of music. That was like, I don't know. I've said it once before, Phil, but it is a little bit floating like floating across the mountains in Snowdonia. It was just gorgeous, wasn't it?
Yeah, what a lovely wash of white noise to start. I was immediately taken to Oxygen. I think it's pot 4, isn't it? And then it isn't Oxygen, of course, once it starts off. Lovely name as well, Monitoring the Zoids. Yeah. Reminds me of myself, I'm monitoring the Amazoids at the moment quite a lot. But that's my problem, not theirs, because their art is beautiful. It had got like a sinister horror movie groovy bass hits in it.
Yeah,
Exorcisty synth patterns. It's all coming back to me now.
You're reading my notes, Phil. I put sinister.
Right.
I put sinister John Carpenter, Phil.
Yeah, John Carpenter, of course. Yeah, exactly. You're showing much far better knowledge than me. But yeah, noise spattered spits and sweeping atmosphere. It's been a great show, hasn't it? There's been some great music on.
It's been
real diversity. This is another one up there with the rest.
It really is. It's again, it has been an amazing array of music tonight, Martin. Well done for picking all this out.
This is from the album Artifact. I picked this up from another radio. We're about to do our own radio show of me and my Marianne.
Yeah.
So you get in a Dropbox, you get music to listen to, and this was one of the albums. And I put my headphones on, listened to the whole thing, and I was just blown away by it. So it's actually called Artifact. It's based on an unofficial soundtrack to Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a concept. It runs all the way through, and as I say, it's an ambitious project. Space synth wave, space travel, and I mentioned when I messaged these guys, I said, well, one of my favourite albums is by Mike Oldfield called Songs of Distant Earth, which again is also an Arthur C. Clarke novel, I think. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's very much like it could be in a soundtrack, couldn't it? This music, but also Tangerine Dream again comes to mind.
Yeah.
So I said John Carpenter for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Johan and Mikael, thank you very much indeed for that. Let's have a quick rundown. So first of all, just quickly mention that obviously we really do appreciate being able to play these songs on here. We appreciate the amount of time and effort that goes into making these songs. If you want to send something across, we would really greatly appreciate you doing so. And we would love to play your song on here. So the email address is, let me just get this right now, PULS8 Radio. That's PULS number 8 radio. There's no E in there. So that's PULS8 radio at gmail.com. Send it through or send a WeTransfer link through, and we'd genuinely be delighted to play your song. So it's a very open community.
Sorry, what was that again?
It's PULS8 radio at gmail.com. Great, mate. Thank you very much for that, Martin. And also, if you go to PULS8 Radio, same spelling.co.uk, there's a listen again on there, and also a contact us on there as well. And you can listen to our various channels where we put stuff out, or look us up on YouTube at PULS8, somewhere or other on YouTube as well. I'm sure if you search around, you'll find it. But let's have a quick rundown of the songs tonight. So we started off with Austra, The Beat and the Pulse. That really was a cracking way to start the whole thing off, wasn't it? That's a brilliant way to start the bookend going. Then we moved straight into Glyn Roberts. I'll have a go again. Fast forward, probably WMACWRW. Again, what a wonderful piece of music and great video to go with that too. That really was a fantastic piece of art, really, more than anything else. Then we're into your wonderful song, Martin, Fourth Eden, Phosphenes, which was off. What's the new album called, Martin?
Metamorphosis,
available in all good retailers. Then we moved on to Andrew Bayer, dedicated to Boston's waste management system, which was, again, had some amazing side chaining in there, all sorts of bits and pieces, but really was a superb piece of music once again. When we moved on to Stephen Jones and Logan Skime, which was Martin's Monster with Another Hallucination. What a bass line. Brilliant bit of French in there. Hypnotic. Have a listen again, you might hear that Eastern influence. Probably not, though. Probably just me. Then we moved on to the interview with Dominic Hawken, which was just superb. Thank you so much, Dominic, for being so generous with your time with us. And moved on to Dominic Hawken's song, Nodder, which was that fantastic trance track that we played out of Dominic's there as well. Then we moved into Hypnotica Time Tracks, which is that amazing dance track, which also had some, actually, I didn't mention it in there. It had some great use of side chaining in there as well, but it was really, really subtle, beautifully subtle side chaining in there. And then number 8, we had, it was Dr. Skime, Twax. What a song that was as well. It was proper classic Dr. Skime coming out of the room there. Then we moved on to Probbie, Counterpart. Thank you very much, Paul Williams, for sending that through. A beautiful piece of music. And then we finished off with, I'll have a go once more. Johan, I'll go, you do it, Martin. I'm just going to ruin it.
Johan, Agebjörn, and Mikael, Ögren.
Monitoring the Zoids. What an array of musical talent we've had tonight. And also in the room with us, we've had musical talent. We've had Phil Goodall in the room with us tonight. Phil, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you. And I'm just wondering if it's worth a quick mention of Matt Garnett is doing a third Only Human CD.
This is true.
Just to give it a quick mention.
Absolutely.
If anybody's got tracks waiting to be submitted.
Twacks. Tracks or twacks?
Pop them through to Matt, I'm sure, or just mention something on the Only Human page. I'm sure he'd be absolutely delighted to have it on the album. Phil, always a pleasure, never a chore. Martin, as always, a wonderful selection of music, utterly astounding, really. And finally, he's not here, but we just want to be just say one last big thank you, very much indeed, to Andy Peggs for starting the show off, for being the pioneer of the Only Human community, for maintaining the Only Human community, and for now bringing it out on the road for us all to enjoy as well as soon as lockdown's out. So, Andy, a big salute to you and a big thank you to you. Good night, everybody. Let's do the big goodbyes. Martin, off you go.
Bye.
Yeah, it's the 4 out of 10. Phil?
Ta-ra a bit, as they say in Wolverhampton.
You see now, Phil's put some effort in there, Martin. Think about that for next time.
I was inspired by Martin.
Yeah, he's just developed. He just developed it. So that's my artistic.
Yeah, karate kid.
Yeah,
from here.
Not now, Arthur. Not now. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
PULS8 Radio. PULS8 Radio. PULS8 Radio. PULS8 Radio.